I have created a freebie for you. 41 ways to teach your child entrepreneurial skills in your homeschool to help you take your homeschool to the next level. Link in the show notes. I am so excited to introduce Nutrilite. This company has been around for 80 plus years. They were green before green was even a thing. They have the world's #1 kids and adult vitamins and kids and adult probiotics. This company uses the power of plants from seed to product to nourish and support you and your family's immune systems so you can have fun and enjoy living life together. Don't spend another penny on low quality vitamins that invest more in advertisement than the product. Arm yourself with Nutrilite vitamins and probiotics. With purchases over $99, there's free shipping. Stop losing sleep and time with your family and get back to life with Nutrilite. Welcome back to the Homeschool Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Bex Buzzy. Today's guest is Carrie De Francisco. She is the host of Coffee with Carrie Homeschool podcast, author of Just Breathe and Take a Sip of Coffee, Homeschool, In Step with God, and conference speaker. She's originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. She's now living, loving, and learning in South California with her husband, Mike, and her 2 homeschool graduates, Francesca and Joseph, along with her introverted dog, Jessie. After 20 plus years of homeschooling, she is so grateful for the gift of laughter, quiet times with her Bible, and her favorite cup of coffee. She is saved by Jesus, but fueled by coffee, and helps moms homeschool one step at a time, one day at a time, and one cup of coffee at a time. In this episode, we talk about how parents always think that they need to be an expert or a credentialed teacher to teach their children at home. Parents should know that the day you become a mom or a dad, you also become a teacher. Also, how homeschooling high school is doable and easy. It's fun and rewarding. Lastly, if God is calling you to homeschool, then you can do it. Homeschool education is an adventure full of blessings, all worth it. Go grab your coffee, go grab your tea and a pen and paper, because you're not going to want to miss what Carrie has to say. Let's get into the podcast. Carrie, say hello to our guests and tell us, what is one misconception you feel most have about homeschooling?
Hi. Well, thank you for letting me join you on your podcast. I'm super excited. I was looking forward to this, so thank you. I think there are 3 main conceptions that people have about homeschooling, whether they're just starting out or even back in like 10, 15 years ago. 3 of them. One is that moms seem to think that they have to be an expert or they have to be a credentialed teacher in order to homeschool. And that is actually far from the truth, because I mean, let's be honest, the day we became a parent was the day we became a teacher. So we really don't need a teaching credential. And I was actually a professor in the credentialing program for teachers. And so I know firsthand that the majority of the classes that teachers take in their training really has more to do with class management and methodologies and stuff like that, and really not education. So 1, you don't need to be an expert or a credentialed teacher. If God's calling you to do this, you can do it. The second misconception is that a lot of moms think when they come home, when they bring their kids home or they decide to keep them home, that they need to do school at home, that they need to model their education and their schooling, their lessons, as if they were still in the classroom. And so I tell moms all the time, why are you modeling your schooling and your lessons after the very thing that you're running away from? So if it's not going to meet the needs of your kids in the classroom, what makes you think it's going to be any different? But I think it's mainly because moms, I know I wasn't homeschooled. We do what we know. And so that's what we know. And so that's what we do. And we think that's how it's supposed to be done. And so when they think they have to do school at home, and when they try to do school at home, or when they release some of that, then they start saying, oh my gosh, I must not be doing enough because we're done with our school in less than 2 hours. And so they have this misconception that it's going to take 7 hours to do school. And it's not. It's not. So that's the second one. And then the third one is really more for the moms with the older kids. But there's so many moms out there who have a heart to homeschool all the way through 8th grade. And then they say, oh, but when they get to high school age, I can't do it. But my kids are going to miss out on too much. They're not going to get into college. I don't know enough in order to homeschool them the high school years. And that's a lie from the pit of hell. I said those things when we started homeschooling, and I said, oh, once my kids get to high school, we're definitely going to put them in school. And my kids said, no, Mom, we want to keep homeschooling through high school. And I will tell you, I thought homeschooling them when they were younger was fun. It's nothing. It has nothing on the high school years. It was so much fun. I got to build such beautiful relationships with both of my kids. They had quality time to do things that they enjoyed. But I think for me, it was so much more rewarding because, yeah, I was with them for all of those aha moments when they were younger. But the aha moments are so much bigger and so much more important in the high school years. And I got to be there for those. So I tell moms all the time, don't worry about it. Homeschooling in the high school years, they're pretty much teaching themselves the majority of the stuff anyway. And you can do it. You really, really can. It's doable. I wouldn't say it's super easy all the time, but it's definitely rewarding and worth it. So I would say those are the 3 biggest misconceptions.
And what's really funny is when I think about the last thing you just said about homeschooling high schoolers, I think like, wow, you went through the hardest part. You should keep them in high school because that's actually the easier part because they are teaching themselves. At this point, you're just kind of like facilitating. And it's crazy how all those misconceptions even happen because I'm a public school teacher and I don't even teach for 7 hours. I teach the most 3 hours a day. The most, and I'm pushing it if I'm saying 3 really, and I have 3 classes, so it's like we don't even in school as teachers, we don't teach that long. We might teach 20 minutes and then the rest of the time they're working on their own, and then we have time to prep for our other stuff. So it's just being in schools because of this, the bells, and because of homeroom and what lunch, and that's really what takes up the whole entire and the classroom management. Oh my gosh. Yes. When you have to deal with all that classroom management, you're lucky if you have a 20-minute lesson that went through. It's like I got 20 minutes. Yeah. It's like, so yeah. Thank you for mentioning all those things because I'm sitting there thinking like, yup. Yeah. So let's talk about you. Coffee with Carrie. What does coffee with Carrie look like? What will I have if I have coffee with Carrie? What do we get with this?
Mainly Coffee with Carrie. It actually started when I think my daughter was maybe in 5th or 6th grade. And I had a couple of my homeschooling fellow buddies, my fellow moms. They would call me up and they would say, can I take you out to coffee? I got to pick your brain. We're having trouble with math, or we're having trouble with this curriculum, or, I don't know what to do with my toddler. Can I just take you to coffee and we brainstorm and you kind of help me troubleshoot? And that's how it started. I was literally meeting for coffee with some of my dear friends, and we would pray together, and sometimes we would cry together, and we would brainstorm, and I would, try and help them either organize or pick different curriculum or whatever. And then they started telling their friends who homeschooled, hey, you got this, why don't you call Carrie? I'm sure she would, meet with you for coffee, whatever. And then after that, it started becoming those people were telling new people. And so I was meeting with complete strangers at coffee shops, either helping them start the homeschooling process or the high school years. They wanted to keep homeschooling, but they were a nervous wreck about doing that. And then COVID hit. And so then I just went online. And so I started having Zoom quote unquote coffee dates with complete strangers across the United States, just doing that, helping them. Like I said, if they're starting homeschooling, I help them get started. Or if they are having trouble spots, I kind of help them talk them off the ledge. Here in California, we have lots of charter schools. And so there comes a point where some moms feel led to leave the charter schools, but they're not quite sure how else to do it. So that's pretty much how Coffee with Carrie started. So my main gig is that I meet with moms either online or in person for coffee, and I help them with their homeschooling. But then it kind of evolved into podcasting. And so I have a podcast every Thursday. We drop an episode, and it's all about homeschooling. So sometimes it's to do, how to teach this and tips. Sometimes it's organizational skill tips and whatnot. Sometimes it's just straight up encouragement. Like this week, the one that's going to be dropping has to do with holiday homeschooling. What do you do during this time when you have so many other things to do? And of course, I have a website. So I have a bi-weekly blog that I drop some articles there. And I think my favorite part is we host all-day seminars. And so, I've done one in Utah, I've done one up and down the coast of California. So if moms want me to come and speak to their group, I speak at conventions as well. And we pretty much spend the whole day talking about how to simplify your homeschooling. So that's pretty much what I do and what Coffee with Carrie is all about. I'm a retired homeschooling mom, homeschooled both of my kids from birth until high school graduation. And so once my son, my youngest, graduated, I was in this new season of life, and I'm still heavily involved in the homeschooling community. So we still run our co-op that has over 200 families in it. And I still teach homeschool kids. So I teach writing and science, and I tutor math and things like that. So I still have my hand in the homeschooling community that way too. So that's pretty
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing. It started off with somebody, I need to pick your brain. Don't despise small beginnings, right? Like it's amazing where it can go if you just continue going on with it and, helping other people. Something Zig Ziglar says, if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And that's really, really cool. And what greater joy, but to see a mom now get the aha moment, right? Like the mom, her eyes are like, wow, that's really important, because I know that most parents, there's such a small few, but most parents love their children to death. Like they love them to life too. They just love their children. They want to be able to spend a lot of time with them, and they want to be a part of all of their life, really the learning part. Just they want to be the whole thing. And just sometimes the fear and the lies that they hear out there that, that they're not qualified, that they're not able to do it. This isn't your lane, And I love what you had said in the beginning. The moment they were born, we were teachers. Same thing. You're also a nurse and a chef, and you're an automatic psychologist. You know what I mean? Like you're all those things. What is it called? A domestic engineer. It's like you're everything.
I like that title.
Yeah. You're everything at that point, and my heart does break for moms who want to homeschool their kids and just have disqualified themselves before they've even tried. And it's so cool that, you're offering your resources, your time, your experience, all of your knowledge, and you're giving it to people, strangers who are open, who are going to be able to really just learning from someone else's experience is probably is way better than learning from your own hard experiences. So, kudos on you for doing that. I really do give a lot of the homeschool coaches and the new moms or dads through this journey, even ones who have been doing this for a while, walking them through this journey for a while. It's a big deal. It really, really is. As I think about it, it's like such a near and dear to my heart, because in a sense you're offering your time and your services, but you're also giving them back memories, you're giving them back time together, you're giving them these moments that would have been missed otherwise, and it's really a special thing. I don't want to make it this big thing, but it really is a big thing.
It is.
It really
It
is a
is.
big thing, you know?
It's a privilege, it's a gift, it's a blessing, it's a calling. I just tell moms all the time that I really do feel like anybody can homeschool, so if God is calling you to homeschool, I really do feel like you can do it. God will make a way for that to happen. But there really is no better teacher for your child than you, because you know that child better than anybody else. You are definitely the one who wants them to succeed the most. You're the one who's going to fight for him the hardest, support him and pray for him the hardest. So it really is a true gift and a blessing. And I just try to encourage as many moms as possible, if they really feel like this is something they're called to do, to just take the leap of faith and do it.
Yeah.
So.
Now, there's a lot new like learning challenges out there. How would you help a mom with, like learning challenges, this twice exceptional or dyslexia, there's dysgraphia now. There's so many different types of learning situations. Like, how would you go about helping a mom walk through that?
And that's another one of the misconceptions that moms have out there when they have a child who has learning differences, that they think that they can't homeschool because, again, now they're super not qualified, to meet their needs. But myself, my son has dyslexia, he's dysgraphia. He is also ADHD. And not only did he homeschool all the way through, but he graduated and went to college. He's in college right now. He's got a 3.8 grade point average. He's doing fabulous. And so on that end of the spectrum, I really feel like I have a heart for moms who have students at home with learning challenges, learning differences, especially in the reading and the math area, because I've been there, done that. And so the moms just don't realize that the majority of the accommodations that the IEP was going to give them in the public school, they naturally can do those accommodations. So wow. You can go at the child's pace. So if the child needs to slow down or speed up, you can. If like in my son's case, he was way ahead in math, but not so on grade level when it came to reading and spelling. So he was doing Algebra 1 when he was in 7th grade, but I won't say what grade level he was in when he was, but let's just say it wasn't on the same, grade level there, but you're able to do that. And when you talk to different school districts and they tell you about all the accommodations they're going to make for them, when you homeschool, they're already getting that one-on-one instruction. Wow. All the time. So they don't need to go to a special room. They don't need to be mainstreamed in. It's just a natural part of homeschooling. You get to make those accommodations. And when things aren't clicking, you have the flexibility to stop for a while. So you focus on some other stuff for a week or two, or maybe a month or two. You have the flexibility to change your curriculum if you have to. You're not stuck using some kind of curriculum that the school district is mandated to use, right? You can find what works best for your child. And then if they need to move around, my son, threw the baseball up and down and jumped on the trampoline while we did spelling words and math facts, because that's what he needed in order to think better. So when you have a child with learning challenges, the mom actually has more freedom and flexibility to meet their needs when they're home than when they're actually in a public school or a private school setting, a traditional classroom. And then on the other end, my daughter graduated from high school at the ripe old age of 15. So she was, she just had, she was on this roadmap. She just knew what she wanted to do and how she wanted to get there. And she just like pumped out everything. She did college level courses when she was, a sophomore, and she just finished it up and get it done. That's what she did. And so the beauty as well is that she was able to chart her own course, pick out the things that she was going to learn and the way she wanted to learn them, and go as quick or as slow as she wanted to or needed to. And so I feel like I come from both ends of it. And so I really do feel like I can help moms and their kids. And like I said, I tutor kids in math. So I totally get when they don't get it. And so, and I even have some of my favorite math games up on my TikTok channel that I love to share with the moms. But yeah, I think that's the main thing for moms who have children with learning differences, because it's not always challenges. Sometimes gifted. So
Yeah. And that is so cool how you said you have an IEP by default. Like
mhm,
that is the
we do.
yeah, by default that you are giving your child an individualized education plan. That was just like a mind blower to me right now. I was like, oh, she's right. That's okay. I knew that, but that sounded way better than what I. That's really cool. That's awesome. So, talk to me. You have so many things that you offer, right? Walk me through like maybe one of your lessons or one of the activities that you have to offer for parents to, use as a resource or an enrichment or as a lesson.
Well, actually, my main thing is that I don't really develop curriculum.
Right,
So
right.
what I help parents do is I try to help them either plan or organize their learning lessons that meet the needs of their kids, or to help them find curriculum that's already out there in order to meet the needs of their kids. But when I do help moms with the how-tos, I would say that I specialize in game schooling. Absolutely
Oh,
love using games as a way to learn and to teach and to review. And so a lot of the stuff at my YouTube channel and also on Instagram and a lot of my podcasts, I do talk about putting the fun back into teaching the fundamentals through game schooling. And I'm very Charlotte Mason
yeah.
flavor. And so I do help moms who have kids that need a more gentle approach
Mm.
and who do want to do more things out in nature and things like that. But that's mainly what I do. I don't really develop curriculum. I think because I was a middle school math and science teacher, and I've written a couple of math books, that I just love math games. And
Yeah.
so I make sure that I have all my favorites that moms can play with just dice or a deck of cards up at my website.
Yeah,
But
I've seen
yeah,
so
it's
many.
mostly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I watched your games with the cards and everything. Those were fun. I was telling someone else before, I was like, man, I just feel like I have like this FOMO. Like I want to go back to school and I want to do it through homeschool. Like I want to learn all these different things. You guys just bring so much like creativity and you really pique my interest on all the things that you're teaching. I'm like, man, I don't think I have enough life in me like to even be able to do all these different things. But I think it's really great that you guys are offering your expertise in that. And yeah, so I see like you have like books written, you have like your YouTube, you have TikTok, you have the time that you spend with moms and
Mhm,
families in conventions and conferences, and
mhm.
you talk to them via Zoom, you coach and you mentor them, you walk alongside them, and like you do a lot, and it's awesome. It really, really is awesome. So where would they be able to go to connect with you and find your resources?
The main place to go would be my website, coffeewithcarrie.org. And once you go to my website, then everything is there. So the links are there for my Instagram account, which is Coffee with Carrie Consultant, link to my podcast, which is Coffee with Carrie Homeschool, because there's a lot of Coffee with Carries out there, but Coffee with Carrie
Really?
Homeschool podcast, I know. And the link to my YouTube channel is there, and a link to where you can buy my book, Just Breathe. So if you just go to coffeewithcarrie.org, you'll be able to find me in all the other places.
Perfect. I will put that in your show notes for show. So, as we're wrapping up, Carrie, give us one big takeaway that you'd want parents to take from our conversation today.
I think the one big thing, or that one thing, would be if you feel a calling to homeschool, you need to do it. You just got to do it. There are so many resources out there. There are so many moms who have been there, done that, not just myself, but who have been there, who've done that, that can help you along the way. It is not like it was 15 years ago where there was maybe two curriculums to
Mm.
choose from. There is just so much out there. It is doable. I will have to say, besides telling my husband, yes, I will marry you, and having my two kids, the decision to homeschool
Wow.
was by far the best decision my husband and I ever made. It
Wow.
just came with so many blessings. Just the one blessing of the kind of relationship that my husband and I have with my kids that's the main reason right there to homeschool, because we just have such a fabulous family relationship. It's just a huge blessing. I don't know what to say other than if you feel God's calling you to do it, you really should do it. Just take the leap of faith. It's definitely worth it. It's an adventure, but it's worth it.
I agree. Parents, do it. Just do it.
Just
Don't
do
even
it.
think about it. Carrie, was awesome having you on the podcast today and just chatting with you. You are definitely wise and very much full of knowledge. And thanks for just sharing your backstory and a little bit behind the scenes of Coffee with Carrie, how it all got started. So
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed the conversation.
awesome. Have a great evening. If you love the conversations we're having here on the Homeschool Advantage podcast, follow or subscribe our podcast to stay in the loop and never miss this amazing content. And please highly consider taking a minute to leave a positive rating and review to help others like you discover this show. See you next time.